Welcome to ECB, everything college basketball, cooking it up with Tyler, Josh, and Peyton. Yeah. It's everything college basketball. We're marching on till the madness comes. Every full court press, every crazy dunk, every conference and how that teams match up. We're pulling your poles, taking your bows, letting the Burton brothers know the players you're watching, the teams that you're not with, and who you see in the Final Four. With them shout outs and weekly pick'ems, plus those crazy rants from Tyler, Josh, and Peyton. It's ECB, everything college basketball, draining three. Man, this podcast has it all. It's ECB, everything college basketball, draining three. Man, this podcast has it all. Yeah, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Your host from the corner three. It's Josh and Peyton Burton with Tyler Cool. Everything College Basketball Podcast.
Hey, welcome back to another edition of our YouTube show, the Everything College Basketball in the Zone Press, the YouTube show. I'm, of course, Josh Burton.
Peyton Burton.
And today, we're a few days behind, but today we are here covering and breaking down the Pac-12 Conference and college basketball. Historically, one of the, or as Bill Walton likes to say, the Conference of Champions.
Oh my God.
But last year, historically, they were bad for their standards. I wouldn't even put them last year. We're talking about the 2018-2019 college basketball season. Last year, the Pac-12, I wouldn't even have put them in the top 5 or 6 conferences.
No.
They were that bad. I would have put the SoCon ahead of them, a few of the mid-majors. The Pac-12 was historically bad last year for what they were. But they did it. They were able to sneak Oregon into the Sweet 16. And they gave Virginia a run for the money for a little while before Virginia shut them down.
Yeah, they was absolutely terrible. We dogged them literally the whole season. Like, it was terrible. Multiple teams was on our Seek and Ship segment. The whole conference was on our Seek and Ship segment. Like, it was terrible. They managed to get, 2 teams in the tournament? Washington and Oregon. That was it.
I think so, yeah.
2 teams.
I think, didn't Arizona State? I think Arizona State snuck in.
Oh, there was a play-in game.
Yeah,
there was a play-in
they
game.
snuck in.
So you had 3 teams, and you're supposed to be a power conference. That was
Well, no, they weren't
terrible.
even playing. Well, they might have been a playing game, but they lost in the first round to Buffalo. Buffalo smacked them around.
I'm pretty sure there was a playing game. There was 11 versus 11. They got beat. But yeah, 3 teams in the tournament, and you're supposed to be a Power 6 conference. No, terrible.
Yeah, so it was not a good look. But the good news for the Pac-12 this year is we do fancy them to bounce back. Of course, I'd be remiss. You guys see some of the new graphics at the bottom down low. We mentioned it last week, broke it after the podcast last week, that we do have our own website now. You see it below, ecbpodcast10.com. It's where we're going to post all this. This is where this show is going to go at. It will be on YouTube, but it'll be exclusively on the website. So make sure if you haven't already, bookmark the site, ecbpodcast10.com. That's where you're going to find our blogs, articles. Peyton's got his recruiting stuff he's starting to put up now, pages.
Yes, sir.
I'm in the midst of writing a brand new article. We've got guest people coming on writing articles for us right now. So as time goes on, we'll get real more expansive into that. So ecbpodcast10.com, make sure you're checking that out. But Peyton, we're here again, like we said, to talk about the Pac-12 Conference. We alluded to them that we expect them to have not a big bounce back year, but a bounce back year nonetheless, and start that climb back up to being one of the premier conferences in college basketball. On the men's side of things. On the women's side of things, just briefly, they've got the number 1 preseason team in America at the Oregon Ducks women's.
Yeah, they do. And Oregon last year went to the Final Four.
Final Four.
And got beat by, I think, Notre Dame.
Yeah, and you look at the women's side, too. The Pac-12's still been Oregon, and you've got Washington's been good. Stanford's always really good. UCLA's good here and there. USC's good here and there. So the women's side's carrying the flag.
Oh.
The men's looking to bounce back, though. We've got some teams that we'll get to here in a little bit, though. The top half of the conference is going to – there's going to be a big difference from the top 4 teams in the conference we'll tell you about and then the rest of the teams, there's that top 4 of those pretty good.
Top 4 can go on our top 25 that we'll be doing in next week.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got 4 teams who are really good, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But you want to get into our superlatives?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start with the Pac-12 superlatives. Peyton, I will let you start first. If you look directly in that camera, sir, and tell them, who is your preseason Pac-12 Player of the Year?
My Pac-12 Player of the Year comes from the Oregon Ducks, and his name is Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard is a senior, and he's the leading returning scorer for the Ducks. He's a 6'2" guard who averaged 12.9 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, and 3.9 rebounds per game, while helping the Ducks advance to the Sweet 16 of the 2019 NCAA tournament. He's a great player. He's going to lead Oregon. We'll talk to him in a little bit. To be in one of those top 4 teams that he's talking about. He's a great player. He's my Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Be leading the show for the Ducks, team that's expected to be pretty good this year. I'm going to stay in the state of Oregon, but I'm going to their rival, the Oregon State Beavers.
Yep.
It's a name too that's under the radar. A lot of things. He could be my most underrated player. But I went a different route on that. You'll get in that here in a little bit. But I'm talking about Trace Tinkle. Trace Tinkle's an incoming senior for Oregon State this year. Last year as a junior, averaged 20.8 points per game, 8.1 rebounds per game. He was a do-it-all at 6'7", I do believe is what he stands at. I'll have to find that for sure. Right here, Trace Tinkle, 6'7", yeah, 225. He's a monster in his own right. He's not the crazy athletic freak wing type player that you would see from other guys.
No.
But he can get to the rim. He can play above the rim, but he can post you up if you're a smaller guy trying to defend him. He can post you up. He can finish over either hand. He's got that nice little smooth one dribble into you, feel where the body contact is, turn around, fade away type build. Like not Kobe-esque, but think about Kobe or something like that. You know, feel the contact. He finishes through contact. He shoots decent at the free throw line, 77%, not bad. 3-point percentage around 33%, so it's not great, but it's not terrible. He can stretch you out, takes you off the bounce. He's a Mr. Do-It-All, and he's not well known because Oregon State's not been to the tournament in forever. They're not in the national spotlight. But Trace Tinkle, I don't see a better candidate right now for Player of the Year. I mean, you look at all the other sites. You look at the ESPNs, the Fox Sports. You look at Three Man Weaves, all the other sites that cover what we do in our sport. They'll tell you Trace Tinkle is, if he's not their Player of the Year, he is at least on the first team.
Yes.
The kid, go watch highlights of him to get familiar with him. I expect him. He averaged roughly 21 a game last year. It wouldn't surprise me if he's up in that 24, 25 point range and around 10 rebounds this year.
He definitely could. He definitely could do that. I can see it. Anyways, next award, Defensive Player of the Year. I think me and you both have the same guy, correct?
Yeah, and we stay right there in Corvallis. We stay right there in Oregon State.
And his name is Kyler Kelly. Kyler Kelly led the Pac-12 in blocks last season. He averaged 3.4 blocks per game. He's a 7-foot dude who's a defensive beast. Good luck attacking the rim with him, because if you attack the rim, he might send your shit right back at you. He's a beast.
Yeah, he offensively he's okay. Hold the zone. Offensively here last season as a junior, 7.7 points per game, so it's not terrible. It's respectable. 5 rebounds, but the big thing Peyton mentioned, 3.4 blocks. That's like right up there with anybody in the nation. An incredibly high percentage of block shots. So he does challenge you at the rim. And it allows, anytime you have a shot blocker, we've talked about this, it allows your defense to press out a little bit higher, because if you get beat, you know you've got somebody to protect the rim. Looking around the conference, there's other on-ball defenders. You know, looking at it, I went to go back and check. Our other conferences, I think we've all picked like on-ball defenders for our Defensive Player of the Year. This might be our first true big man protecting the rim. I think
it's 100% is. Yes, it has to be.
So, I mean, but you can't deny 3.4 blocks, and there's no reason why he shouldn't get around there again this season as a senior.
Maybe more than that.
So, Kyler Kelly, Defensive Player of the Year. That's, for me, both my awards so far. Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year right there in Oregon State.
Hey, mine's both right there in the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon and Oregon State.
So, we'll go ahead and move on to the Freshman Player of the Year. Now, this is where things get interesting, because the Pac-12 this season has a lot of really good freshmen. A lot of high-profile names, NBA draft pick, like lottery pick guys. and a lot of 4-star kids who aren't necessarily the most sexy pick, but in the situations that they're in could be really, really good and stand out. My freshman year, I'll lead off here first.
Right.
You see, I rep the Italian national team. Anybody who knows me knows that I rep that Azzurri, the Azzurri blue for the Italians. I rep the AC Milan. I'm a big Italian guy. I'm not Italian myself as far as I know, but I've always said that because I've had this fascination with the country of Italy since I was real young. So I always say I'm pseudo-Italian. What I'm getting into, segue here, my freshman player of the year is Italian-American himself, plays for the Italian national team, none other than Nico Manning, the number 2 or 3 point guard in the class of 2019 this past year, from the Arizona Wildcats. If you've not seen Nico, Nico is an explosive, athletic player, got a decent-looking shot on him, not the greatest, but attacks the rim, sees the floor so well. He's got speed, but he's not De'Aaron Fox elusive speed. He's got just enough, but you look at the draft boards, he's top 10 in everybody's draft board, one of the top point guards coming out behind Cole Anthony. And, well, I guess Anthony Edwards is not really a point guard, so behind Cole Anthony.
Yeah.
But an explosive point guard, he's going to be given the keys to the car in Arizona this season right away. And he's going to make stuff happen, especially with the other players he has around him. We'll get into later with Arizona. But Nico Manning, man, repping that Azzurri, repping that Forza Italia, all that. But, I mean, you laugh, but, man, he's a good, explosive player. I would say he's not the type, the once-in-a-lifetime player, but he is he's an extremely good talent. I think he's got to work on hitting his outside shot more consistently. He can definitely hit it.
Yes.
He can hit it and spread the defense out, but it's not consistent. But what he lacks in that area, he makes up for in vision of the court. My God, he can find people. You get open for a split second and the ball's waiting on you. Attacking the rim. He plays with he's not a vocal confidence guy, but he's not afraid of a challenge.
No.
Go back to last year when he went head-to-head with Devin Askew and shot for shot, getting after each other. Good player. Nico Manning's my freshman of the year.
Before I give my freshman of the year, you kind of
Forza Italia.
I should have known. You did that on purpose.
No, I did not. Italy played today.
I know, I'm kidding.
Hey, European qualifiers off topic here, but we've yet to lose inside group stages here for the European Euros. European qualifiers, the Euros. When we beat Greece's butt today, 2-0. So, hey, Forza Italia, Forza Azzurri, Forza Milan, Forza Rossoneri, Semper Milan, all that good stuff. And Nico Manning's Italian, so what's good?
Do you know who's the reigning champs for the Euros?
Portugal.
Yeah, exactly. Go Ronaldo. Go Portugal. But anyways, back on topic, talking college basketball and Pac-12. Before I get my freshman year, you kind of already mentioned it. There's a lot of choices, a lot of candidates. Nico Manning, definitely a candidate. His running mate, Josh Green's a candidate who's Australian, who can absolutely stroke from three. Jaden McDaniels from Washington is an underrated candidate, in my opinion.
Yep.
Isaiah Stewart is my freshman of the year from Washington. Stewart is a 6'9" center from La Porte, Indiana. Played for the La Lumiere squad. He was ranked third in the 24/7 Sports 2019 composite rankings. Isaiah will come and be a dominant force from Mike Hopkins' 2-3 zone. He loves to run, but also will create some opportunities for himself on the offensive side of the ball. With his tremendous strength and athletic ability, I believe Stewart will be unbelievably good for Washington. You can't go wrong with any of those candidates I said, whether it's Nico Manning, Josh's pick, Josh Green, whoever you pick, they're all very good. My freshman of the year is Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah, Isaiah's going to man the middle. He's going to be a dominant force, especially in that zone.
Yes.
That you mentioned Mike Hopkins likes to run. Brought over from Syracuse. But I'm glad you mentioned Jaden McDaniels, too. I think he's been lost in the shuffle. He's a 5-star wing.
Yeah.
An explosive player himself. And another player you mentioned, too, Arizona running mate, Josh Green. An explosive player. So there's a lot of good freshmen to choose from.
Yeah, and don't forget, I think he's still a freshman. He didn't get to play last year. Sharif O'Neal.
Yeah, because he had a red shirt because of the heart issue we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Sharif O'Neal, another one. And we mentioned it too. you can't overlook it. Go to Oregon State. You look at a 4-star kid right there. California's all-time leading scorer, I think now, are one of the top scorers in California high school history coming in. You look at Jared Lucas. He's a 4-star kid, doesn't get a lot of love, but he's going to get a bunch of playing time. Obviously, he can fill it up. At the end of the year, could be freshman of the year.
Another one I just thought of, and Folly Dante.
Folly Dante, yep. Big 5-star kid. We followed his recruiting process over the summer until he finally landed at Oregon. One of the crazier recruiting cycles we've seen.
Holy cow.
I mean, he's a big-time defensive type player. Offensive game needs to improve a little bit, but more than capable of being freshman of the year.
Isaiah Mobley from USC.
Isaiah Mobley from USC. His brother is the number one player in. Or what? No, is it Isaiah or
Evan? His brother Evan's the number one player for next year.
Yeah.
Before we get into the rest of our superlatives here, I talked about Josh and Cook. I talked to them about this. I was just randomly sitting down playing College Hoops 2K8, creating a bunch of these guys, creating a bunch of these rosters for this upcoming year. And I was creating a lot of centers, and I didn't really realize it till now. If you look at last year, there wasn't very many true centers. Yeah. I mean, you had Benny Boatwright from USC. You had Ethan Hatt from Wisconsin. But you didn't really have true back-to-back centers. This year, though, you have a lot of them. Isaiah Stewart, James Wiseman. You have Isaiah Mobley from USC. Anfali Dante. Adoka Azubuike. You have all these. Vernon Carey Jr., Armando Burkett, Kofi Cockburn. I can go on and on and on. You got a lot of good centers this year. Our Shaq Award at the end of the season, we might have a lot of candidates. But I like it, though. I do like it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad to see. I think the big man, definitely I like the fact that they've evolved to where they can shoot some, but I hate when you got a guy who's 7 foot, 250, that's a hoss that wants to pick and pop all the time and spread the floor out when he should be dominate inside and pick and pop some.
Yes.
Right?
That's how it should be.
Even still to this day, you go back, look at a guy that has a lot of skill sets, that can pop out and hit the three in the NBA, that can do all this other stuff, that's about to get a big-time contract with Indiana Pacers that played at Gonzaga. You look at Domantas Sabonis at 6'11", he can dribble, he can shoot, he can play back to the basket, strong as an ox, rebounds, and he can shoot the three, but he doesn't settle for the three all the time. And that's what I love, and I think that's what you're alluding to, that we're getting back to more of that this year.
Yes, sir.
And there's always going to be a place for that, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. No doubt.
Good point. Most improved. I'll go ahead and do mine. Cody Riley from the UCLA Bruins. Cody Riley, you may have forgotten him, and I'll tell you why. He's a former 5-star kid. He's a sophomore now, but he really should be a junior. He missed his original freshman year, had a red shirt or whatever, because he got suspended from the team. Because if you remember in preseason games or whatever, exhibition games, a couple seasons back, him, LiAngelo Ball, and I forgot the other young man's name.
Oh my God, that's right.
Got caught shoplifting in China.
Oh my God, that's right.
And got suspended. And remember, LiAngelo never touched the floor again for UCLA because that's what the balls do and all that stuff, right?
Whatever.
But this young man got it reinstated and all that. Got to play last year. Was a technical freshman last year. Cody Riley, as a freshman, played 30 games for the Bruins, started 8, played around 17 minutes a game. Only averaged 5.5 points, 4.1 rebounds. But he's got NBA talent. You look at NBA draft boards, he's somewhere in the second round, or they have these write-ups about him. They're like, he's got all the NBA talent in the world, explosive, can get to the rim, needs to mature, all this other stuff. And I think this year, especially if you're going to play for Mick Cronin, you have to defend. You have to be explosive. He's a guy that he likes to play back to the basket, strong, physical, and that falls right in line with Mick Cronin's values. So I think because of that, how strong and physically he is, because he's a freak, and I mean that in every sense of the word in a good, positive light. Because of all those factors coming into it, I think Cody Riley is going to, his numbers will increase. I think he averages double figures of points, right there around rebounds, and he start to see his NBA-type talent come to fruition. I think him and Mick Cronin is the perfect fitting because of the physicality. So for most improved, I've got Cody Riley. I think he finally starts to realize that NBA potential he has.
I totally forgot about that situation with the whole shoplifting thing with him and LiAngelo Ball. That's a good pick. Totally forgot about that. My most improved player of the year, I feel like I do this for every conference. It's not to stir up controversy or anything like that, or I think people has questions. But my my most improved is Quade Green. He will miss the first half of the season for Washington. He transferred from Kentucky. He averaged 8 points per game. But whenever he gets to play in the second half of the season, I think you'll see a more improved Quade Green than you did when he played at Kentucky for a few. Just my opinion on that. I like Quade Green. I like the way he plays. I think he'll do big things for Washington when he gets to play second half of the season.
Decision making was his decision making, right? Oh, sorry, I dropped a pen there. Decision making. You go back to his first 2 seasons, or season and a half at Kentucky. There was times where he was like the only person out there because he played hard, right?
Yes.
You never questioned how hard he played. He would hit some big shots. He can shoot the 3. But you go back to the tournament game against Kansas State, just shooting. He has a chance to tie it up, if I remember right, or take the lead there late, and he just forces one up. And then last year, the half year he played before he decided to sit out and then transfer ultimately. Just some dumb decision makings. You look at the Duke game. You look at the game against, I think he played against Seton Hall. You look at some of the decision making, and he's got a lot of talent. He's a 5-star kid from Philadelphia. And we've seen he's going to be a good point guard. He will be a good point guard in that system for Mike Hopkins.
Yeah.
But the one question is decision making, and it's not decision making of always like make the right pass. It's just dumb decisions on he likes to take. I feel like he gets frustrated if you go 3, 4, 5 possessions and he doesn't get a shot up, so he tries to force something.
Yeah.
Every once in a while he hits one, and that's the worst thing for him because he's like, well, I've hit one, so let me try another 2 or 3.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good point. Good point.
Let's see if he improves his decision making, especially when it comes to shot taking. But yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah. What's the next award? Most underrated?
Yep.
Most underrated. Let me find it here. Where's mine at?
I'll go ahead and take. Sorry guys, I've been sick. That's the reason we've done this late. I've got to try to stay hydrated here. I'm just now getting over bronchitis and the flu. So
yeah, not good. We was going to do this. What was it, Wednesday? But he was sick, and my friend Burris, he came back from college, and we hang out. So we didn't get to do it. That's why we're doing it today. My most underrated player is Remy Martin. Don't we have the same one?
No, we do not.
Oh, did you end up changing? Okay.
Yeah, I went with somebody different.
Anyways, my most underrated player is Remy Martin.
Remy.
I'm sorry.
Remy
Martin. Martin last season for Arizona scored in double digits 21 times with a career high 31 points against Arizona. He averaged 12.9 points per game with 5 assists per game for the Sun Devils. 31 points against Arizona. I know the Pac-12 wasn't good last year, but that's at least a plus. So he is my most underrated player.
Well, Remy Martin is good. He will be keyed on to carry Arizona State to the NCAA tournament again. He's a guy who can go get you a shot when you need one. That's a good pickup. A good pick by you. My most underrated player, we go to USC for Andy Enfield's squad. Nick Ravasevich, the 6'11 senior out of Chicago. Last year as a junior, started 30 at 33 games, played 30 minutes, 14.7 points. One of the top returning scorers in the conference coming back this year. Right behind that guys like Trace Tinkle. Sorry.
See?
But no, he's a guy because again USC's, they're okay, but they're not in the national spotlight all the time. They're not in the top 25 right now. They might pop in and out. But because of that, not a lot of people recognize his game. He's a guy that can go get you buckets. He shot, which is actually crazy. How about this? Shot 0% from 3. He's a guy that averaged almost 15 points a game, 0% from 3. Did not hit 1 3-pointer.
Wow. I didn't see that.
Shot about 68% from free throws. So he's a guy that attacks the rim, plays around the rim, and he's an old school throwback type guy.
Yeah.
Very, very underrated.
0%.
Imagine if he increases and actually spreads you out, just hits a couple threes.
Yeah.
Then you're talking maybe he averages 15, 16 points a game now.
Could.
So, but Nick Ravasevich from USC is my most underrated player.
It's a good one. 0% from 3. That's crazy. Especially how today's landscape is.
Yeah.
Where everybody's just shooting a 3. Crazy. But anyways, you got your the first team.
Yeah. We didn't agree on all these, did we?
I think most of them
Most of them. I think they're most self-explanatory. My ballot for the first team All Pac-12 preseason, got to go with Trace Tinkle. He's my player of the year. Got to go with him from Oregon State. Look at Nico Manning. We mentioned him. He's on there from Arizona. You look at Isaiah Stewart Payton, that's his freshman player of the year.
Yes.
You go from Washington. You look at a guy that's very well could be player of the year. He was my second in the running behind Tinkle. Kid from Colorado, McKinley Wright the fourth, big time scorer, plays for good Colorado squad this year. And then last, fifth and final is you go to Oregon, you go to Peyton Pritchard, which he was your player of the year.
Player of the year for me, yes.
So yeah, Trace Tinkle, Nico Mannon, Isaiah Stewart, McKinley Wright the fourth from from Colorado, and Peyton Pritchard.
It's a good list. Like I said, I agree on most of them. Actually, I think I agree on all of them. All 5 are worthy. Only one I may change is McKinley Wright for his running mate Tyler Bay. But that's just me. Either way, great list. And I think all of those guys deserve it.
You got yours? You got your first team?
Oh, I said most of them.
So we did keep the same.
We mostly agreed on everyone, except I changed McKinley Wright for Tyler Bay.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get into ranking the conference 1 through 12. We've already told you the top 4 teams are separated head and shoulders, we believe, from the rest of the conference. But kind of interesting at the top of the conference, too, the tippy top. We'll get to that when we get there. But let's do it like we normally do. Let's start at the very bottom. Started at the bottom, and then we'll be here. That was kind of terrible.
that was not good.
Peyton, coming in at number 12, who we have predicted finishing dead last inside the Pac-12 this year.
We got the Washington State Cougars. Last year, Washington State finished 11-21 in the regular season, 4-14 in the conference. Not good at all. They lose a lot. They lose 5 guys here. They lose their leading scorer, Robert Frank, who averaged 21.6 points per game.
And 7.2 rebounds.
7.2 rebounds per game. They lose him. Just not a lot of things going on in Washington State. Plus, last year they lost to California, and California was terrible.
Yeah, the one thing they did have from last year, they shot 75.7% from free throw, which ranked them first inside the Pac-12. So that was nice for them. They do bring back, you forgot to mention, they do bring back a big-time scorer, one of the top returning scorers inside the conference, CJ Ellaby. Played all 32 games, started 28 of them, about 31 minutes, averaged 14.7 points, shot 41.4% from 3. They do bring in a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
A lot of new faces between freshmen. They bring in 6 new freshmen and a couple grad transfers, with one of those freshmen being Volodymyr Markovitsky.
There you go.
Volodymyr Markovitsky, 7'1" center out of the Ukraine.
Yeah.
They say he's a project. Can't find any highlight videos on him. I've seen a couple write-ups. They said he's a project in the making. But at 7'1" with the right matchups, he could obviously come in and help defend. Here's one that piques my interest. DJ Rodman. And yes, that stands for Dennis Rodman Jr. But he just goes by DJ. DJ Rodman. 6'6", 4-star kid out of California, averaged about 25 points a game and 8.9 rebounds. He looks in the face identical to his dad. We were watching highlight videos.
Yes.
Looks identical to his dad, but he has a different game. He's 2 inches shorter than his dad, but he shoots a lot better. He's a better off the dribble. He does all that stuff that his dad didn't do. He hustles. You can't hustle as well as Dennis did, but he does hustle like his dad does. Obviously, rebounds. I mean, his dad averaged with like 12, 13, 14, but 8.9 is pretty good. And he averaged 25 points a game. So he's a different mold of his dad, but looks the same. He could come in and get a lot of minutes right away. Maybe if he doesn't start, maybe like a 6th, 7th man. So a good piece for them for the future. But this is gonna be a long season. I think for Washington State. Outside of CJ Ellaby there, a guy that can go get you 20 in a given night. You lose, like Peyton said, Robert Franks. That's 22 points a game that you're losing right there, and 7 rebounds. Mm-hmm. That's rough. Here's an interesting stat. Washington State, Peyton told you, only won 4 conference games last year, but every conference game that they won came by at least an average of 15 points. They won by 23 over Cal, 21 at Arizona State, 14 at Arizona, and 2 over Colorado. Sorry.
Damn.
So they only won 4 conference games, but all of them by an average of 15 points.
That's an upside.
But I don't think things are going to get better this year. No. We'll say they hold still at 4 wins, just to be on the safe side. It's a project. It really is. Washington State's got potential to build in the next few years to get back up to the top half of the top half of the conference.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be this year.
No, definitely not going to be this year.
Not going to be this year. Peyton, who's number 11?
Number 11, I just mentioned them. It's California Golden Bears. California last year was like 0-11 in conference play at one point. Just absolutely terrible. They lost a shit ton of games in a row last year. We buried them. They finished last year 8-23, 3-15 in conference play. Just absolutely garbage. They lose two guys. They lose two guys who are averaging double figures. Justice Suing? Is that Justice Suing.
Yeah, 14.3 points a game.
Yeah.
Darius McNeil, 11 points. And then Connor Vanover, 7.5 points. California, the reason I fought for them to be slotted at number 11 and not dead last again, they do bring back a lot of guys. Even though they only won 8 games, 3 in conference, they do bring back a lot of experience, which will help. Yeah. And the big reason is they bring in new head coach Mark Fox. I was a big Mark Fox fan when he was at Georgia. I thought he did great at Nevada beforehand. He knows how to win. He doesn't know how to win at like a crazy level, but he can keep you a consistent 20-game winner year in and year out. Just give him time. He can recruit. Not at a 5-star level all the time. He'll bring in some 4-stars, maybe the occasional 5-star, but some really good diamonds rough 3-stars, and he's going to build you a program from scratch that can at least keep you in the conversation to make the tournament every year. Be consistent. So I think the future is looking okay, looking bright, if you will, for California. But this year, again, it's just another building block. Player-wise, they bring back 2 players that did average double figures. You look at senior Paris Austin, 11.6. You look at sophomore Matt Bradley, 10.8. They were kind of dead last in scoring, dead last off at the rebound percentage. It says here Cal was ranked 241 in the final Ken Palm rating, the lowest by a wide margin of any power conference team. They were terrible last year. If you want to say they hit rock bottom, they hit rock bottom. But again, they're bringing back a lot of experience. They're bringing in a new head coach that I'm fond of.
Yeah.
We'll say, we got them 11th, but I do think give Fox a few years and California will be at least competitive 20-game winners.
Do you know, because we just talked about DJ Rodman, do you know Julius Erving's son plays for Cal? He's a walk-on. He's a walk-on, so he won't play much, obviously. But, yeah, he plays for Cal. I just seen that.
Jules Erving, wow.
Yeah, Jules Erving. It's a walk-on son of NBA legend Julius Erving.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Number 10,
we got the Stanford Cardinals.
Cardinal. That's a big difference. That's a big difference.
I don't really understand that, but yeah, it definitely is a difference.
Yeah.
Last year they finished 15-16. Pac-12 record was 8-10. They was tied for 8th, which is okay, but Pac-12 sucked last year. They lose out on KZ Okpala.
An NBA player, by far their best player.
Averaged 16.8 points per game. With 5 rebounds or 5.7 rebounds per game. Losing out on him is going to hurt tremendously. Who else they lose? They lose Josh Sharma. He's a 7-footer, 230, big guy, 10.2 rebounds or points per game, 7 rebounds per game. They lose out on those 2 guys. Who they bring in? They bring in top 100 recruit, Tyrell Terry, 6'1" freshman, 180 pounds, who has a consistent jump shot. He'll do well for them.
And good thing, too, is he's already got a chance to play. They played exhibition games this past August in Germany and Italy. So he's already got a little repetition, which is going to help his progression right away.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You look, though, they're going to rely a lot in the front court on Oscar de Silva, the kid from Munich, Germany, 6'9", 225 pounds. He only played 3 games, but started all 3 last year. 9.5 points in those 3 games. And then Dejon Davis leading the backcourt, the 6'3" junior, 11 points a game, shot 34% from 3. It's going to be another. You're going to find a lot in these Pac-12s that these guys or these teams at the bottom half of the conference are going to struggle a lot. It's going to be a grind. I think Stanford, because they are going to have some big kids though. You look
my God!
You look at their lineup across guards and big men. They're going to be pretty big, so I think that could play an advantage rebounding-wise. Man, I just don't know what to say. You lost an NBA superstar.
Yes.
Well, not superstar, but NBA caliber talent in KZ Okapala.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where you're going to make up the points at. Obviously, Tyrell Terry is a big-time piece coming in, a top 100 guy. And the recruiting's going up. If you look at your recruiting notes over the summer, you look at all the 4- and 5-star guys they're in on, I think the future's looking up, but I think this year could be a struggle. I think capping them at 6 wins, maybe 7 in conference is the most.
Yeah.
I don't think they get to the 8 and 10 the mark that they did last year.
No, especially losing out on your best player, KZ Acapella, to the draft. Not going to help at all. I mean, Tyrell Terry, he's a good guy. He's a good point guard. I just don't think it's going to help much. And fun fact by Coach Jared Haas, his 3 years at Stanford, he's finished either 8th or worse 2 times. Not very much success in the Pac-12, and I don't see that changing this year.
Yeah, I think it's a struggle again. But now here, moving on up, though, to team number 9, this is where things get interesting. Now, I know people are going, if you look at other publications, they have this team rated as high as 4th I've seen. I think it could be a struggle, and we'll go to the Utah Utes with number 9 here. They lose out on 4 players from last year. They lose one of their leading scorers from last year, Cedric Bearfield. He's out with 16.8 points a game. He's gone. You lose Donnie Tillman, one of their top forwards last year, 10.5 points, and a couple other guys. They go 17-14 overall, 11-7 inside the conference. I actually seen them play last year in person when they came to Rupp Arena to play Kentucky.
Yeah.
They battled early. They, physical. You wouldn't expect anything else from head coach Larry Cristio.
I'm not going to try.
I can't even pronounce it. I know how it is, but I can't pronounce it. It's a Polish name.
Yes.
But they do bring back one of the unsung. He was right there for my most underrated. Again, one of the top scorers in the conference, is one of the better players coming back, is sophomore Timmy Allen. Averaged 12.2 points per game. Started 26 of the 29 games he played in for the Utes last year. 5.1 rebounds. Shot 57% from 3. Obviously one of the best shooters in the conference coming back. So you're going to lean on him to be your kind of go-to starting everything for you this year. So at least you have a star coming back that you can lean on. They bring back some other guys. They bring back another starter that started 21 games last year, played in 31, Riley Batten. You bring back guard-forward combo, 6'7", what a name, Both Gak, 6'7", sophomore, but he's played 30 games, started 14 for him last year. So you bring back some guys, and look at all the new faces. They literally bring in like 10 freshmen.
Yeah.
10 freshmen. And then one junior college kid, Alfonso Plummer, transferred in from Arizona Western College. They bring in 7'4" Matt Van Komen from right there inside Utah, 7'4", 220 pounds, alongside Brandon Carlson, 6'11", 210 freshman from right there in Utah. So they're going to have a big front line. They may be young and inexperienced, but they're going to have a big front line. Head coach, too, Larry, the way he plays is physical. They rebound. You look at some of their stats. They were number 1 in field goal percentage, 46.4 in the conference last year. That means they play around the rim, take high percentage shots. They finish around the rim well. 4th and off at the rebound percentage. So you kind of get the idea. They play that type of tough, grimy, like almost Big Ten-esque style of basketball, right?
Yeah.
And then, again, we mentioned you have Timmy Allen coming back. Utah could be interesting. I know they're at number 9, but here's something too. I was looking at through notes. I talked about 7'4" Matt Van Komen. He averaged 5 block shots. 5 block shots per game last year.
Damn.
I mean, at 7'4", that should be right.
Oh my!
But still,
God.
5 block shots is 5 block shots a game.
Yeah.
And then here's another newcomer from Finland. Finnish star Mikael Juan-Tuin averaged 17 points, 10 rebounds in the under-18 European Championship. So he's got them if you guys don't know now, international basketball, especially the European internationals, those kids can play.
Yeah.
They are pros, some of them. And you got a guy that's averaged 17 and 10 in the under-18 European Championships. That's a big-time player you're bringing into your program now with experience. Like I said, probably pro experience too. So Utah, there's a reason why in some publications they have them finished as high as 4th. I think it could be a toss-up. But even we have them 9th, they could slide in the tournament.
Could, definitely.
I mean, well, I'm not saying Pac-12 gets 9 teams by no means. But I'm saying even though they're 9th in ours, at the end of the year, if they're somewhere around that 4th, 5th range inside the conference, it's not going to blow my mind.
No.
Because we did say, keep in mind, the top 4 are separated, but 5 through 9 could flip-flop.
Can flip-flop, yeah.
Can flip-flop. Mm-hmm. Anything else you got to say on Utah?
One of those freshmen I want to talk about is Jackson Brinchley. He's 6'5", 190 pounds. He's a guard. He was Utah's Mr. Basketball for 2017. I think he redshirted last year, I believe. He's a good mid-range shooter, so they got another guy who can shoot. He obviously, if he's a good mid-range shooter, he can hit the three some. All around, good guy, a good product for Utah. And last year, they finished 3rd in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
You know how Pac-12 was terrible, but they still finished top 3.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on up to number 8.
We got the UCLA Bruins. UCLA last year finished 17. 17 and 6.
Camera got a face full of you there.
Sorry, get a close up. They finished 17 and 6. Pac-12 record was 9 and 9. They were 7th in the Pac-12. Obviously, wasn't that good. Steve Alford did not have a good year for him last year. He's gone.
He was gone by December. Well, they got rid of him early. He didn't finish the year out.
Oh, yeah, he did. Oh, that's right.
He didn't, because remember we talked about him in one of the early podcast
That's
episodes.
right. I forgot about that.
They got rid of him early.
But yeah, not a good year last year at all. It was weird because a couple years ago UCLA was good with Lonzo Ball there. He was good. Just not a good year for UCLA.
If I remember right, too, at one point UCLA last year, I'm trying to find it in the notes. If I remember right, at one point last year, they went on like a 7, 8, 9 game losing streak inside the conference. Something crazy. Well, I guess maybe not because they went 9-9, but they went on a little losing streak there, if I remember right, inside the conference. That kind of really brought them down, too. But they do bring in new head coach Mick Cronin.
Yeah.
Mick Cronin, we've talked about it at Cincinnati. His teams are always great defensively, not the best offensively, to the point Mick Cronin's last team at Cincinnati ranked 338th in KenPom in the nation at adjusted offensive tempo.
Oh, my God.
The Bruins are 17th under Steve Alford. So it's going to be a big shift, and you can even say a paradigm shift in UCLA and LA basketball, because you look at the Showtime Lakers, you look at what people expect out of UCLA. You want a lot of points, flashy, win, all that stuff. You may win with Mick Cronin, but it's going to be defensive first. It's going to be grinded out. It's going to be ugly. Literally, Cincinnati won games the last 10 years. There was games that they would literally win like 41-39.
Yeah.
Like high school scores. But they got the win. It's not always going to be flashy. And that's why I mentioned I think Cody Riley with his physicality is going to blossom under this style. But what Peyton UCLA loses from last year, you lose. Whew. He was a pro prospect, left for the draft. Talking about center Moses Brown, didn't get drafted. He would definitely benefit coming back from another year. But he was a pro prospect. You lose off to the NBA, both these guys too, Jalen Hands, and you lose Chris Wilkes.
Yeah.
So 3 pro-type prospects all bolted for the draft that had they came back, UCLA would have been right there in the conversation for winning the Pac-12, I think. But with what they do have, they bring back who they're going to be their leader, senior Prince Ali.
Yep.
Prince Ali seems like he's been there forever. He really does. I remember when he was there with Lonzo and them.
Yeah.
Running back up with Lonzo and the Holiday Boy and all that. Only averaged 9.6 points per game, but I think this year there's going to be more of a focal point on him scoring the basketball. Shot 34% from 3, which isn't bad. They bring back some other kids. Jules Bernard played 33 games, so only started 2. I expect those to potentially jump up. Shot 37% from 3. Peyton mentioned it earlier. You actually get Sharif O'Neal. Hopefully his heart issues taken care of. Remember last year he set out because he had that heart issue.
Open heart surgery.
Yeah, because he had to fix that. Apparently it's fine. He's been running in the summer, been running in practice. That's obviously Shaq's son. Good skill set. Nothing like his dad. He's, 6'9", 215. Forward, he's a lot like, he really does it's kind of funny. He reminds me a lot of him and Trace Jackson Davis remind me a lot of each other.
Yeah.
They're about the same size, same everything, similar skill sets, right? Take you off the bounce, modern style forward type ish. But he's going to play. I think he starts right away for UCLA this year, and he could have a big year the way they play.
Yeah.
Anybody else coming in, or anybody else on the team that you want to single out?
They do bring back. You're going to talk about scoring wise, or they bring back David Singleton, who's a sophomore who shot 46.7% from three. So that's going to help. He was a freshman last year, and he did that as a freshman. That's going to help to open up their offense. And Sharif O'Neal, he's a good player. I do like him. I do like him a lot. Definitely not his dad Shaq. No one is really. But he's still a good player. And Trace Jackson Davis, that's a good comparison because they do have similar games. Both guys can hit some shots. Both guys are very athletic. As you see, Trace Jackson Davis won the dunk contest for Hoosier Hysteria. Both guys are athletic, and both guys are pretty good. So that's a good comparison.
Yeah, we were talking about Mick Cronin, too, and I actually forgot about this. So I was looking at my notes here. Here's how I spell fun. W-I-N, he remarked in his introductory press conference after being announced as UCLA head coach. Obviously being asked about what it's like, style of play, what expected in LA, Showtime. I'm telling you, it's going to be an adjustment for UCLA fans, fans of the Bruins, because they do expect that type of run and gun. Let's score 100 on you. Let's be flashy. Let's make the behind-the-back pass. Let's alley-oop it. Let's pull 15 threes, like the Magic style of basketball from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Not going to happen with Mick Cronin.
No.
Not. But you will, if he's winning, you will get used to winning, and you'll be hopefully happy about it, because there's going to be games, though, that you will be in the 50s. That's just his MO.
Yeah.
Just grind it out ugly, but get the job done however you get the job done.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you do it. As long as you get that W on the column, that's all that matters. Don't matter how you do it if you win, if the score is 20 to 18, if it's 90 to 100. As long as you get the win, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So moving on up, number 7 in the conference. This team finished 4th last year in the Pac-12.
Yep.
Had sort of a resurgence. And that team is none other than the Oregon State Beavers. Peyton, take it away.
Oregon State, if you're looking for a sleeper team, I think Oregon State can be
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Oregon State, the Beavers returned 3 of their top 4 scorers from a team that finished 10-8 in the league last season. Among them, Trace Tinkle, who's your player of the year, averaged 20.8 points per game with 8.1 rebounds per game while shooting 48.3% from the field. The 6'8 forward is the leading returning scorer in the Pac-12, and barring injuries, he's a lock for the first team for Pac-12. He's a great player. He's going to help lead that team to an NCAA tournament appearance. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2016. It's been 3 years since a tournament appearance for Oregon State. But I think this year they could do something.
We mentioned Kyler Kelly, Defensive Player of the Year, going to block shots. Yep. You got Trace Tinkle, who's going to score. Scored a high rate, too. Again, only shot 33% from 3. But those numbers I expect to go up, can do it all. So you got Kyler Kelly. I alluded to Jared Lucas, 4-star kid. Set all of the California records in scoring last year. California State for the high school, right?
Yeah.
So he's a big-time scorer. You bring in a couple other 3-star kids. Defensive-minded kid. Where is he? I just seen one of the recruits coming in.
Where is he?
Is it Julian Franklin, I think?
Probably. I think so.
Julian Franklin. So he's a 3-star kid, but they say he's defensive-minded first, which absolutely is impressive because a lot of kids today want to score. You just look at all-around game at Oregon State. They did go 10-8 in conference last year. Like I said, was 4th in the conference. Oregon State played its way out of postseason contention by losing 4 or 5 during one key late season stretch. Those 4 losses came by a total of 11 points. So obviously losing 4 or 5 down the stretch by a total of 11, you give them 4. Now you're talking about a team that went 14-4 last season.
Yeah.
They only lose 2 kids, one being Stephen Thompson Jr., averaged 16 points a game. But I think overall, with experience coming back, you have You have a Player of the Year candidate. You have Defensive Player of the Year candidate. You bring in a 4-star kid that knows how to score. Some other solid pieces around you. That's a team that could get it done. I like your pick as calling them as a sleeper in the Pac-12. Not only that, but they swept Oregon last year for the first time in a number of years. Swept them. Yeah. And we knew how good Oregon ended up being by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Their preseason, basically they bring back a lot of the same players from last year. So Oregon State, we've got them 7th. But again, they could, if they're 5th at the end of the year then and make the NCAA tournament, then
no shock.
No surprise there.
No surprise.
Peyton, number 6 in the countdown.
Number 6, we got the USC Trojans. USC has a monster recruiting class coming in this year, headlined by 5-star front court player Isaiah Mobley, who's the brother of number 1 recruit for next year, Evan Mobley,
who's also committed to
USC. Mm-hmm. This year, I expect them to do decent stuff. But next year, I think it's really their year, especially if Isaiah Mobley comes back, which I'm pretty sure he's going to.
Come back to play with his brother.
Come back and play with his brother. 2 monsters for the front court. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That could be nasty.
Yeah, we have USC finishing 6th in the conference this year. They do lose a lot as far as production. You lose Benny Boatwright, was an outstanding player, 18 points, but more than that, he was just a vocal leader, explosive.
Yep.
They lose Kevin Porter Jr., one of the sleepers in the draft, went first round. You talk to anybody that knows the NBA, and this kid is potential sleeper inside the NBA draft or NBA this year as a rookie. So they lose him. They lose out on Derek Thornton, who ran the show for him last year. So they lose out on 3 big pieces for them. They bring back, we talked about, Nick Ravasevich. They bring him back. They bring back Jonah Matthews, who averaged 12.6. He's coming back as a senior. Charles O'Bannon Jr. got a lot of experience and a lot of potential. Bring in, Peyton mentioned, that good recruiting class. I think with everything that lines up, the style of play Andy Enfield likes to play. Remember, he was the head coach at Dunk City back in the day with Florida Gulf Coast. I think it's a big year for Andy Enfield. I think the USC finds their way back inside the NCAA tournament. They went 8-10 in conference last year. I like them at least a couple games better than that. Probably around 10-10 this year.
Yeah.
10-10, 11-9-ish.
Yep.
But it's good enough. I think we'll have them 6th in the conference, and I think they can sneak in the NCAA tournament.
And another recruit I forgot to even talk about because I was too busy talking about Isaiah Mobley and his skills. They bring in Onika Okongwu. These names, I swear.
Onike
Okongwu. He led Chino Hills to 2 California high school state championships. Everybody knows, obviously, the ball players for Chino Hills. Chino Hills is a historic program in California. So they got him coming in, who's like a 4-star, 5-star recruit. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, he's a top 25 recruit.
5-star then, that's right.
Yeah, 5-star, yeah.
So got him, Isaiah Mobley coming in. You got Jonah Matthews, who's a senior this year, made 78 3-pointers in the 2018 season. He averaged 12.6 points per game. They got pieces.
Yeah,
they got pieces.
For sure. That's why I think they'll get in the tournament.
I do too.
So, number 5, moving on up. Now, this team's another tournament-bound team. We mentioned it. They'll be led by Remy Martin.
Yep.
And you're looking at the Arizona State Sun Devils, who made the NCAA tournament last year, as we alluded to earlier. Lost in the first round to Buffalo, 91-74. They do lose out on 2 big-time players for them, though. Zylan Cheatham's gone, 12 points a game, but more importantly, he was a big-time leader, good defensive player for him. And you lose Lugens Dort, 16.1 points a game. But you do bring back Remy Martin. You bring in Tyshawn Cherry's expected his role to go up. Kimani Lawrence, 8.6 points a game, played 34 games for him last year, started 15 of them. You bring it back Romello White, started 34 games, averaged 8.7 points per game. Now, Rob Edwards played in 28 games as a junior, started 21, 11 points a game.
Yeah.
So you bring back, and you look at all these guys too, that 3-point percentage. I mean, now this could be skewed because of the amount that they shot.
Sure.
But forget Mickey Mitchell because it's 100%, so I'm sure you're on probably went like 1 for 1 or something.
Yeah.
But look, Remy Martin, 31.2. Kimani Lawrence, 31.4. Rob Edwards, 37.5. Tayshawn Cherry, 34.5. Those are guys who all played big-time minutes last year. All of them shot well above the expected three-point percentage line. That's big for them. Bobby Hurley's doing good things in Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring in the recruiting class, or newcomers. Freshman guard Jalen House. His dad was Eddie House, or ASU legend. Played in the NBA for a hell of a number of years. Played for teams like the Boston Celtics. I think he played for the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
I mean, he played in the league for a long time. If he's anything like his dad, he can score the basketball, and more specifically, he can shoot.
Yep.
That's a big-time player for them coming in. You look at, help me here.
Khalid Thomas, he's a number 2 JUCO prospect in the nation. He also considered Oregon.
That's right, and they bring in 2 JUCO All-Americans from last year. 2 JUCO All-Americans. We've seen over the years what JUCO players can bring in, and they go to the JUCO routes for a year or two after they leave a big-time program or whatever,
yeah,
and they get their game right. I mean, one of the players I knew really well was a JUCO All-American back in the day was Carl Landry.
Yeah.
Played for Vincennes, and then ended up having a hell of a career, was All-American, or All Big Ten first-team guy, played for a number of years in the pros for the Houston Rockets, played for a couple other teams. So we see what JUCO players can do, and they got 2 junior college All-Americans on that team to go along with guys like Tayshawn Cherry, Rob Edwards, Remy Martin, Kamani Lawrence. This Arizona State team could be very, very interesting. They were second last year in the Pac-12 in scoring, 77.6 points per game. This could be an interesting club.
Yeah.
This could be a very interesting club.
They finished second last year in the Pac-12. They beat Kansas at home against Kansas.
Yep.
They beat them. Kansas didn't have Doak, did they? Did they beat him?
I think that was early in the season. I think they had.
It was early in the season. I think. Wow.
Yeah.
I know they obviously beat them because we watched that game.
Yeah.
But with Doak on the floor, impressive.
Last season, the Sun Devils attempted 882 free throws, most in the Pac-12, and made more, 600, than USC and Washington State even attempted. They're getting to the free throw line. They're putting pressure on opposing teams' defensive players. Foul trouble, that is huge, especially if you shoot that many and hit that many. They only shot 68% from the line, too. If they can continue to get to the line that many times, up that free throw percentage to 75%, God dang, that's like extra, we can say like anywhere between extra 15 and 20 points in some cases a game.
It's one thing to get to the free throw line, but it's a completely another thing if you can convert them.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. Damn.
Yeah, for sure. Now, that's it for this kind of second and third tier of the conference. Now we get into the real deal, and we literally debated. You look at every publication, look at everybody who's talking. Me and him ourselves, the top 4 here, you can alternate at any rotation you want between the top 4. There's that little separation because they're all that good, we feel, and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong.
No.
All 4 of these teams that we're going to talk about, we feel, are not only tournament bound, not only could win the Pac-12, but could also, every one of these teams be in the second weekend or higher in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Meaning they could make the Sweet 16 and maybe make a run. Start off with the number 4 team, Peyton.
We got the Washington Huskies. Washington last year finished 27-9. They finished 15-3 in the Pac-12. They won the Pac-12 regular season. They lost Matisse Thybulle, who's an NBA guy, one of the best defenders in the nation last year.
Yep.
Averaged 9.1 points per game. They lose out on 3 other big-time pieces. Noah Dickinson, who averaged 12.3 points per game with 7.5 rebounds per game. Jalen Now. Yeah, Noel Now.
Jalen Noel.
No.
No.
Why did I say no? Whatever. They lose him, who's 16.2 points per game. And they lose David Crisp, who averaged 12.2 points per game. They lose those guys. But...
Well, real quick, before you get into this,
go ahead.
They went 27-9 overall, 15-3 in conference. They had a great year last year. Lost in the second round in North Carolina NCAA tournament, getting blew out. And when I thought that because they're 2-3 zone, they'd give North Carolina fits.
Yes.
I was wrong. 3. Washington returns only 3 players who have started a game for the Huskies last season. Now, if I told you at the beginning, you'd think, well, why in the hell is Washington number 4? But, Peyton, take it away.
But they bring in 2 5-star prospects and Isaiah Stewart and Jaden McDaniels. Both guys I said could, one of my freshman year, one who did, the other who could have. And they bring in Quade Green, who will miss the first half of the season, but he'll get to play the second half of the season. And those two guys are going to play in that 2-3 zone, and they're all going to dominate, and they're all going to do well. Getting those two guys is going to be great for Mike Hopkins' Washington team.
Yeah, also go along in the back court, the front court as well. Isaiah Carter, their leading returning scorer, played 36 games. Didn't start one, but he played 36 as a sophomore last year. 8.1 points per game. Shot 31% from three. But he's going to help in the front court. Other couple interesting freshmen coming in. Freshman guards Raekwon Battle and Marcus Shoney's played on AAU team with Jaden McDaniels, so there's familiarity there. That 2-3 zone makes a difference. You look at the way they play. Obviously, Mike Hopkins, the long-time assistant at Syracuse under Boeheim. It's not the regular 2-3. They extend. They want to get out. They play wide. They play. They use their length, athleticism. They want to steal the ball from you, but they're not going to overshoot gaps so you get wide open stuff all the time. But they will put pressure on you. Sometimes the way the wings come out too, it almost looks like it's an extended 2-2-1, or it's like a 3-2 at times, because the wings will play out depending, and they make you chew up clock. They make you think. They make you nervous. If you don't hit threes on them, or you can't get into the lane and the gaps in that zone, you're in trouble. It's a long night. I watched them play Gonzaga to the wire last year, and had every chance to beat them. This is when Gonzaga was undefeated, number one in the nation, and Washington took them to the wire and missed a shot at the buzzer to win. Yep. I think he even went to overtime. Washington's got potential. They will run. They're not afraid to run. And they bring in Isaiah Stewart to clog the middle now. You got an explosive wing like Jaden McDaniels on the wing now. When the second half rolls over and you get Quade back, this Washington team could be the real deal.
And the thing is, last season they averaged 5.7 blocks per game, which led the Pac-12 for a second straight year. So they're converting a lot of blocks. And I don't see that changing. I think it's going to be a little bit of the same for this year with Isaiah Stewart clogging that middle and Jaden McDaniels down there helping him. That 2-3 zone is going to be nasty this year.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, and this is what the zone does. It's like when it's second in the conference in scoring defense, only gave up 64.8 points per game. Second effective field goal percentage allowed, teams only shot 47.5% on them. I'd expect more of the same, maybe even lead the conference in those defensive stats this year. Yeah. It's going to be a fun year if you're a Washington Husky fan. We have them fourth because, again, it could be a toss-up between these top four teams. Oh, yeah. And there's reasons why we have just slightly these other three teams ahead of them. But if Washington wins the conference in the year, no surprise.
No surprise. Like these top four teams, it took us a little bit longer to debate these than we have in other conference previews.
For sure.
It's took us a while. But yeah, either four of these teams can win the Pac-12.
For sure. So moving on up, number 3. Just slightly ahead of Washington here. Peyton, we go down to Arizona.
Arizona Wildcats. I don't know how Sean Miller's still coaching.
I don't know.
I don't understand it.
Under a ton of scrutiny.
But besides all the scrutiny, they do enroll a top 10 recruiting class that's coming in this year, headlined by Nico Manning and Josh Green. Two phenomenal players, both not from the U.S. You have Nico Manning from Italy, and you got Josh Green from Australia.
Well, he's from Siena, Italy, but he's played high school basketball here in the States.
Yeah, well, so is Josh Green, but I mean they're from different countries.
Right. So they're international flavor.
International flavor. They've had experience, but anyways, yeah, they bring in those two guys. Nico Manning has probably, besides maybe Cole Anthony, some of the best handles you'll see coming in this year. He's very smooth with the ball. He's a phenomenal player. 5-star kid. He loves it. Like, he has this toughness about him. I do like him a lot, just not as much as Cole Anthony. The dude can score. The dude can get buckets. He's a great player. And his running mate, Josh Green, another great player who can stroke it. Oh, my God, he can hit. He's smooth as well. And then you bring in Max Hazard, too, who's he's
a grad transfer from UC Irvine. You go back and look what he was able to do in the tournament last year when they who did they knock off in that first round? Was it I'd have to go back. I literally just watched it the other day while I was sick. They knocked off Man, they were like a 13 seed. They knocked off somebody as a 4, and I can't remember. But he went off big. He went off for big numbers.
Yeah.
Shoots the ball incredibly well at a high rate. Big-time shot maker and taker. Good three-point percentage. But also, how about this bringing in? Because that recruiting class wasn't just a two-man class.
No.
They obviously bring in Christian Koloko, 7-foot center, coming in as a freshman.
That's right,
But
yeah.
how about Zeke Naji?
Yep.
6'11". They're talking about him and Josh Green as franchise-type recruits for any program of possible one-and-dones. First-round draft picks.
Yeah, you talking about Max Hazard and how he can stroke from three. Last season, he hit 243 threes.
Yeah.
240.
I mean, he was right there. Fletcher McGee was obviously the number one three-point shooter, but he was right there in the top 5.
240 threes last season. That is incredible.
And how much more is he going to... He did that on UC Irvine. Imagine now where he doesn't have to have that pressure of having the ball or setting himself up. He's going to have Nico freaking Manning, and he's going to have Josh Green as a running mate on the wing. He's going to have these other guys down low. We didn't even mention Chase Jeter, he started his career at Duke, transferred to Arizona.
Yep.
He's a senior now at 6'10". His numbers should go up, clogging the paint down. We talked about 7-foot Christian Koloko.
You bring back Dylan Smith, who's a senior, who's a good defender, but he can also occasionally get hot from three. He averaged 7.2 points per game.
Brandon Williams is a 6'2" sophomore guard, 11.4 points per game. This Arizona team's built, and they even lost out. It would be even deeper.
I was going to mention this.
They'd be even deeper had he not decided late in August to go pro.
Yep, Terry Armstrong. If he'd stayed and stayed true to being an Arizona Wildcat this year, they'd probably be top 2 in my opinion. But instead, they're 3rd.
Yeah, and even with all the scrutiny that's going on, the turbulence with Sean Miller and the investigations, as far as the team goes and everything right now, Arizona is a handful.
Yeah,
Arizona's
definitely.
a handful. So now we move on. We couldn't decide on who wins the conference. I had one team, he had the other. We both think that they're so evenly close that it's not the most popular thing, but we have co-conference champs preseason.
Co-conference champs.
And that would be the Oregon Ducks
and the Colorado Buffaloes.
and the Colorado Buffaloes. Since we have co-conference champs, because literally it's razor close between the two. Peyton, take it away with Oregon.
Oregon last season finished 25-13, 10-8 in conference. Wasn't that good. They was tied for 4th. But late in the season, they really turned it on. They went to the Sweet 16. Obviously, they got my player of the year, Peyton Pritchard, leading the charge for Oregon, averaged 12.9 points per game.
And outside of Cassius Winston from Michigan State, he's probably the number 2 floor general in America.
They bring back sharpshooter Victor Bailey Jr., who shot 39.8% from 3, roughly 40% from 3. They bring in 5-star forward C.J. Walker, who is an absolute freak of an athlete. If you watch his highlights, the dude is a freak of nature. He can get up now. They bring in Chandler Lawson, who... Chandler Lawson, if you didn't know already, he's the brother of KJ and Dedrick Lawson. If he's anything like his brother Dedrick, who averaged double-double for Kansas last year, then Oregon's getting a great player.
Yeah, I hope he's more like Dedrick and less like KJ.
Yes, definitely. But bring in 5-star and finally Dante.
He's a man-child.
He is a beast. I didn't think he was going to go to Oregon. I thought he was going to go to Kentucky.
I did too.
Everybody thought he was going to Kentucky. One of the craziest recruiting trails in a while. He ended up committing to Oregon, and that made Oregon a top 10 caliber team, in my opinion. Oregon was my choice to win the Pac-12 tournament regular season, but it's too hard to decide. Too hard.
Yeah. So Oregon, obviously, I mean they do lose out on. You mentioned Victor Bailey, Bol's gone, who got hurt and only played like a couple of games.
Yeah.
Kenny Wooten was their big-time shot blocker from last season.
Yep.
But they do. You forgot to mention they bring back Francis Okoro, guys like Will Richardson, guys who've got experience. Oregon's going to be good. And who we think they're going to be co-conference champions with is the Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado brings back 7 guys who played big minutes. Their top 7 rotation, including their starting 5 and obviously their 2 big role players. They don't bring in much as far as the way of recruits. They bring in 2 grad transfers and 1 freshman. The grad transfer guard Maddox Daniels averaged 13.9 points, hitting 43% from 3 at Florida Southwestern State College last season. Big time shooter coming in. They only lose 2 guys. 7 points, 4 points, so not a lot of production they've lost. A team that went 23-13 last season, 10-8 in conference, lost in the NIT to Texas in the quarterfinals. They were a team that were on the bubble by the end of the year. By the end of the year, too, this team, not only with their top 7 guys coming back, but the team at the end of the year won, if I remember right, 11 of their final 12, or
they did
12 of their final 14.
Yeah.
So they got hot at the right time. Led by, we talked about, he's on our first team all conference team, McKinley Wright the 4th, 13 points a game, NBA kind of talent. Shot 36.5% from 3. You mentioned Tyler Bay, another starter, started all 36 games last season. 13.6 is their leading scorer. 9.9 rebounds from a guard forward combo spot. 6'7" junior. Evan Beatty coming back, another guy. They've got all sorts of talent. Here's a stat for you. Colorado returns 94.1% of minutes played last season. The Buffs also returned 94.9% of their scoring and 96.2% of the rebounds on a team that won 23 games, 10 in conference. Colorado, they're going to be in their top 25, I do believe, next week when we reveal it. They're a team that could be good all year long, that can maybe, if everything plays out right, sneak into the top 10. They have a game out of conference this year with Kansas.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I'm telling you. And they've got a couple players in McKinley Wright the 4th and Tyler Bay that can go be a dynamic duo and go get you points.
These 2 teams are pretty evenly matched. You mentioned Colorado plays Kansas. Oregon plays Memphis, correct? So They got a challenge in themselves. Real quick about McKinley Wright. In the offseason, he had surgery to repair a shoulder tear. I don't know what shoulder it was, but I wonder if that's going to affect any at all.
What it could affect, because there could be lingering effects. But what if it also helps?
True. Yeah.
He had shoulder tear, played through it.
Yep.
And still averaged 13 points a game. Imagine now if it's fixed and he's healthier. I'm just saying. But Colorado and Oregon both going to be extremely good. But like we said, that caveat right there, them top 4 teams in this conference, by the end of the season, could all flip.
Yeah.
Could all flip.
It could all flip.
But we have co-conference champions preseason. Colorado and Oregon, you guys let us know what you think about it.
Yep.
You let us know what you think. So with that being said, there's your Pac-12. Of course, again, you guys go check out ecbpodcast10.com. It's where all the latest happenings will be at. It's a brand new website. Once we get things figured out and start to roll, new pages will be added, new articles weekly, multiple articles, hopefully weekly, especially when the season comes along. We'll start pumping those things out. We'll start having people come aboard, write for us, add new perspectives of stuff. Our links to our t-shirts are on there, links to the YouTube channel here, links to the Facebook group, Twitter. Any and everything that you'll need ECB-wise is going to be found at ecbpodcast10.com.
Yep. Great website. Please go check it out. Me and Josh, we got our own personal blogs on there we did. He did one about Alabama. I did one about Cole Anthony. I just finished my second one. It's about Louisville. My only one I'm doing about Louisville. It'll be out tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow, being in case people watch
Sunday.
Sunday, October
13th.
The 13th. Thank you. In case people watch this at a later date.
Yeah. Obviously, the YouTube show will be exclusively on the website. And whenever Cook gets a chance to do his blog, he'll get it done and get it put on here. We got our merch and stuff on there like that. Whenever we do the weekly pick'ems, that will be exclusively on the website.
Standings will be exclusively on the website, yes.
Standings will be exclusively on the website. I got my recruiting crystal ball predictions on the website.
That you're updating weekly?
I'm updating 3 days a week, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
I think it should be noted, too, that these are your own predictions. You're not copying what Evan Daniel says. You're not, because they're in your own words. And you can tell, too, which is what I like, that say you just made an entry on like Cade Cunningham the other day. dated it. So when you make a new one, it'll say like update, and so that way you can update, your previous stuff and explain what's changed or whatever.
So right now I have 6 guys on there. Kate Cunningham's one of them. Josh Christopher's another one. All these for 2020. Whenever obviously the season ends, and then I'll start doing 2021. But I'll be updating / adding more every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So be prepared for that. It's my personal crystal ball predictions.
Twice weekly. Twice weekly.
So yeah, those 3 days you'll see an update or adding more players on there. And I'm super excited for that. So ECBpodcast10.com. Best website.
For sure. With that being said, tomorrow, Sunday, October 13th, whenever you're watching this and hearing this, episode 40, the big 4-0.
Yep.
We've hit our landmark 40th episode, and it culminates with doing the ACC previews.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, episode 40 of Everything College Basketball. Sunday, October 13th. We'll be going to Atlantic Coast Conference. What a conference that is, the breakdown and preview. All that and more on episode 40 tomorrow. But for now, this is our Pac-12 pre-conference preview predictions. And with that said, visit ECBpodcast10.com. I'm Josh. He's Peyton. And we are out. Boom.